are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 491. We are part of the Lineups Podcast Network at lineups.com, the Big Heads Media Network, bigheadsmedia.com, Dash Radio, and our sponsor is Ticket Club, the New York Knicks podcast.com/Ticket Club. Use code NYKP to get $20 off an annual membership. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I fell asleep during your intro.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to keep making it longer. if I make it 59 minutes, then we don't have to do a show anymore.
That's perfect. Should I try to do another ad for hoping to get a company to give us money?
Maybe.
Buy Coca-Cola. It's the soft drink to beat. Use promo code New York Knicks Podcast at purchase and see how that goes.
Maybe we should start with a smaller company.
Why? They have so much money to go around that someone will just give us money.
Maybe, yeah, it's true. Maybe the paperwork will get lost in the shuffle and we'll get some checks.
I mean, when you have like billions of dollars, you probably value those dollars less than a company like a small company.
True.
Okay. Joe's Hardware down on Main Street. Go to Joe's Hardware for hammers. Use promo code New York Knicks Podcast. See how that goes for you.
They don't even have a website, but just go in there and yell the code at them.
Exactly.
All right. So we're going to start off the show with a call from a listener. And then we'll get into the Knicks news this week. Mark and I each went to a game, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll go into some trade rumors and listener questions. Sound good?
Awesome. Sound like a plan, Stan.
All right.
Okay. We are joined by a big fan of the show, Rory. Rory is... he lives in Jersey. He's a big Knicks fan, and he wants to talk Knicks with us. Rory, how long have you been a Knicks fan for?
Well, I'd say it's like since 2012 or 2011, right before the Carmelo trade.
So the Carmelo trade won you over?
No, I actually did not watch basketball at all until I got to college. I never understood why are people watching sports if you could play them, but then I realized how distracting it can be from all the other problems in life. And it was nice. You know, my roommate would put on the Knicks, and they were terrible, and it was fun. We'd bond over how bad they were. It was just a way to get to know people, to relate to other people that I didn't know.
Awesome. Yeah, no, sports are a fun way to relate to people you don't know. It's a fun, distraction from all the awesomeness of the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fun to talk about problems that aren't really serious. Like, the Knicks suck. Not a really serious problem, but fun to talk about. What is your best memory as a Knicks fan?
Ooh, you know, I don't know why this is coming to me, but it's when Amari Stoudemire made a game-winning three that was clearly past the buzzer against the Celtics. I don't remember when this was. I think it was before the Carmelo trade. And I remember that was really exciting. I was watching that in a bar, and I didn't see that it wasn't the game-winning shot, and it wasn't. But that was exciting. I don't remember why. I think it was because one of the first crazy Amari Stoudemire game winners. That was fun. I don't know why that comes to mind.
I know the game you're talking about. I watched that game. I remember being I cannot believe that shot was just quarter of a second late. But I remember that being a pretty it was the Celtics were kind of at the they were around their peak. And it was a very competitive game. And the Knicks were trying to get on the scene at that point.
That's when you're like, this whole Amari thing might actually work out.
Yeah, that's when you're hopeful for a second. Yeah.
What is your
forgot about his knees.
What is your lowest moment as a Knicks fan? And I'll accept present as the.
Oh God. No. You know, it actually was probably the year after the 50 whatever win season when you realize, that's not going to happen again. Jason Kidd retires and they get Vito Udrich or whatever his name is, and we're all convincing ourselves that he's like Jason Kidd, and that was right. All those guys, Pablo Prigioni, all these people, and when I realized they weren't good, they were still around 500, but that was low. When I realized, it's over. The flash in the pan.
Well, that year, Tyson Chandler got injured at the beginning of the season, and that kind of had the year start off in a bad place. And I remember And the Knicks just missed the playoffs that year, which was shockingly that would be the closest we will have gotten to the playoffs since. But like they just missed this, and you were like, oh well, they'll get there next year.
Exactly. Hindsight, it was a really great year, but at the time, it was not fun. And I was just in the beginning of my Knicks fandom, so that was the first time I was really brought down a couple pegs. I've been there ever since.
Yeah. Who is your all-time favorite Knick? And I guess your era is not, since you've been only watching since 2011 or so, probably different from other. Who's your favorite?
I mean, I'm still going to say Walt Frazier.
Okay.
Even though I never saw him, I love his color commentary so much. It's actually one of the reasons I got to enjoy the games before I really cared about who won or lost. I just like hearing Walt Frazier and his rhyme schemes and all the silly things he says during broadcasts. I loved it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to say Walt Frazier.
It's also just awesome to have like an all-time legend for your team doing your announcing. So I just feel like that's just a cool thing.
And I know he won a championship, so that counts.
Yeah, it does definitely counts. And if you had to pick a Knick player that you despise with all your being, who would it be?
Despise with all that? Yeah, that's strong. I don't think I feel that strongly towards any Knick player because there's so many that I don't like, and I bet the ones I despise the most I probably don't even remember. But I want to say J.R. Smith because of how infuriating he was.
That's my number one too.
I was going to take Bargs, even though it's really unfair at some extent because it wasn't his fault that it was a disaster. But Bargs always just infuriated me to no end.
That was his contract, though. It wasn't really him.
No, it was the fact that he had to play. Like, you had to get him, and, like, he had to play, and he broke up the whole, like, going small thing, and, like, he wasn't really a good three-point shooter, even though they pretended he was, and, like, the East is big now, crap.
No, he was garbage. I don't know why we went with him. But J.R. Smith pissed me off the most, too, because then he goes to another team, and it reminded me of how much better LeBron was than Carmelo. He was able to lock J.R. Smith to be such a great three-point shooter and got him to the championships. And, like, all right, so J.R., you could have been doing this whole time. But wait till you get to Cleveland to do it. So
there are less clubs in Cleveland, so.
Yeah, he literally admitted that.
I guess so.
Yeah. Tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts on the current team.
Oh, they suck. Have you seen them?
Unfortunately, yes.
So bad. You guys haven't been watching. No, I'm hopeful. I mean, I'm hopeful. I'll just leave it at that. There's a whole bunch of players that are underperforming this year. I thought, if they just take a small step forward, you could be a 500 team, maybe squeak in the playoffs, maybe not. I didn't expect them to be this bad. But
yeah, they're. Do you think if Miller coached, I guess, how many wins do you think they would end up with this season if Miller had coached the whole season?
All right, I guess like 30, right? Because they're like right now since Miller's been in, they're sub 500, but they're still, they're not as bad as they were.
Yeah, so, no, they're 7-11 since he took over, so still a better pace.
It's also not fair. A lot of players were injured. They came back, even like little role players like Reggie Bullock and who's that other dude who's supposed to be good at 3-point shooting. So yeah, those guys are back.
Do you think Fizz got a raw deal?
No, man. If you lose that much, you're gonna get fired. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I don't put much stock in the coaches or the corporate staff either. Like the presidents and the owners. I don't put much stock into those guys. I think it has to do with the players. They're the ones playing.
So you don't put any stock into I guess if it's up to you, would Steve Mills get to keep his job?
Sure, I don't. You could put Ronald McDonald in that seat. I don't think it matters.
What about
they do anything?
I guess do they do anything as far as like him? I guess him and Perry work closely together. Do they do anything as far as drafting and basically assembling the team?
Oh no, I mean I feel like they've been pretty on point with their drafting. I would have at the time, right? You never challenge any of their draft picks, thinking like, oh, you should have taken Michael Porter Jr. You don't think of it at the time. It's only in hindsight you start to criticize them. I never remember them making an overtly terrible draft pick.
I can
they all seemed good at the time, and that's just the way drafts go.
In hindsight, I can nail every draft.
Oh yeah, in hindsight you can. I know. At the time, I thought Kevin Knox was going to be, was going to be a star, and you read the thing in the New York Times about he's going to be a star, and every year you go through the same thing.
Yeah. So let me ask you about some of the young guys. What's your take on Barrett? Do you like him? You happy with him? How good do you think he could be?
No, I think he's great. Anytime you have a guy who could, who might be able to average over 5 assists a game and 5 rebounds a game and over 15 points a game, I think you're good. I really like Barrett. I think him, what's his name, Randall, and I even still am holding out hope for Ntilikina. I think they could be good one day.
Yeah.
If we get the right pieces.
What do you think going forward? How do we improve this team?
Trade, get rid of as many people as you can, and get good players.
Who
right?
are you gonna?
I mean, in order to.
Sorry, go on.
Well, like in the trade or in the off season.
No, that's not who you're going to trade for, but who are the ones you're definitely keeping, and who are you more open to? I guess which guys are your keepers right now?
I don't think anyone's a keeper except Barrett. I mean, that's the only guy you really have to keep, right? There's no one else really to build around. I guess Randall, you can make the case for Randall, but there's always a better player out there. The only person we're betting on the future is Barrett.
Not the Loch Ness monster?
Wait, who's this?
Mitchell Robinson.
Oh, Mitchell. No. I'm not high on him at all.
Really?
He gets blocks. He gets more fouls than he gets blocks. He's a second rounder. I don't know how people. We're just high on him because we have no one else. But
you're high on half the many players as I am.
Yeah, probably.
What about so you think Ntilikina could be good? Have you lost faith in Ntilikina?
No, I still believe in Ntilikina.
Okay.
I'm not losing faith in him yet. Just because his hand, he's so athletic, his hands are so big, he seems like a smart player. I always wonder if he's playing with better players. You always wonder this about development.
Yeah.
If some really good players were on that team, would Ntilikina be better? If you threw him on the Lakers, would he suddenly be averaging, 15 points? I don't know.
I would say generally most guys in the Knicks would probably be better on 29 other teams. But
yeah, they always tend to be.
They always tend to be.
Who was
who
was that guy we had a couple seasons ago who's now in Detroit? Langston Galloway. He's firing out from 3.
Yeah,
we should we have kept him?
I mean, he's a role player, so it's not the biggest loss, but he's looked pretty good there.
Yeah.
And what about Knox? What do you think of Knox? Are you out on him yet, or do you think he played well Sunday?
No, I'm out on him. I don't believe in him.
Yeah.
There's so many players in that archetype. The 6'7", 6'8" guys you think that could play on the wing. Turns out they can't. He's not looking good to me.
His stellar lack of defense has not won you over yet?
No, but I also wonder if he could ever be someone like, who's that guy who's breaking out the season, like Kelly Oubre. He was sort of a similar archetype on Washington. Now he's on the Suns. He's killing it.
Now he's playing pretty well. I mean, so a lot of times when you kill the young players, like you say, I'm not sure about Ntilikina, not that you said that, but I'm out on Knox. A common Knicks refrain is he's so young. He's so young. You have to develop him. Do you believe that these guys aren't good because they're young, or they're just not good?
I think it's mostly that they're just young, and just like with any team of any people, if you have someone who's inexperienced, you got to pair them with some people who are experienced in order to be effective, whether you're an accountant or whether you're anything else.
Okay, so our path forward,
our
path forward, we need to get assets, get draft picks, draft good players, trade for some good players. Anything else in your mind as far as what they need to do, like what pieces they need to add in particular?
I mean, in order to win, you always need someone who could lead your team and basically rebounds. I mean, in points and assists. I think that's the only way you could actually win in basketball today, whether it's LeBron or Luka or Damian Lillard, some of these guys. We don't have anyone like that. And I'm hopeful that RJ Barrett's the first person I've seen on the Knicks in a long time who I felt might be able to do that one day.
Okay. No, he looks, I do think his shot has to improve, but like he does have potential. He has all-star potential. And that's probably the only guy in Knicks. Well, I guess you could say Randall has all-star potential, but I don't think Barrett seemed like a guy we really can build around.
I think Randall is as good as he's going to be.
He's not bad though. Even Randall's as good as he's going to be, he's not bad. What do you think of Randall?
Yeah, not true. I think he's as good as he's going to be. I mean, I love him. I wonder if he'll be in the future redundant to guys like RJ Barrett or other forwards you might want on the team.
Yeah.
But obviously, we have our biggest hole right now, point guard, like it's been since forever. Stephon Marbury, I guess.
Any
Jeremy Lin, I guess you could
any
count him.
and some fans have had hesitation trading Marcus Morris, saying he's a really good vet, wants to be here. Do you have any hesitation trading Marcus Morris?
Oh, absolutely not. No, he's like I saw some. Oh, what was the statistic that he's down there with Carmelo Anthony as like the highest likelihood he's not going to give up. He's not going to give up the ball or get assist. He's going to score. He's just a black hole.
We do like black
Yeah.
holes in this franchise, so maybe he is a keeper.
True, we need one. If you're going to be a black hole, you better be getting like 35.
Yeah,
Like at least Melo got a lot of points.
What else was I gonna say? Yeah. So we need the. Oh yeah, the other one I was saying. Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond. You get a call from Detroit. They said I'll give you Andre Drummond, and you give us back Randall and Ntilikina. That was the rumor. Do you do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would.
Yeah, I mean, I think. I mean, it is basketball. You gotta get the ball close to the basket. You have a better chance of getting it in. He's good on defense, and he can score the ball. I don't see why you wouldn't do it. I could see how you can make the math case against it. Oh, his salary and this and that.
He's an expiring contract also.
And he's an expiring contract.
Yeah,
Would you
you can sign him in the offseason
against it because you're giving up Ntilikina.
Yeah,
So
you're giving up.
that's my only reluctance. But you got to do it.
Okay, so you think he's good enough that like it's a no-brainer? Let's take a risk, get him, and then see if we can re-sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
How many All-Star centers are there in the league? Not many.
Not many. No, definitely not. He's one of the better ones out there. Yeah, he's top 25 guy. He's a top 25 guy in the league. They're only,
Right.
as far as my math tells me, besides him, there are only 24 out of the top 25 guys.
Yeah, I got the same math here.
Good. Thank you for joining us. I guess last question to you. When will the Knicks make the playoffs again?
Oh my God. I mean, we're Knicks fans next year, obviously.
Obviously, we're gonna win the title next year, of course.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do it. Otherwise, no one's gonna be. Without that hope, no one's gonna be tuning into the podcast. No one's gonna be watching on TV. You gotta hope.
Yeah. Actually, last question. Give me one crazy hot take. One like crazy bold prediction.
Crazy bold prediction.
Yeah.
I'm not used to. I'm so pessimistic about the Knicks. I guess my bold prediction would be negative. That we're the worst team in the league next year and the year after and the year after. Like dead worst first record. We sign all stars, still dead worst record.
I don't think our
that
show
would be something I could.
I don't think our show will survive.
It's a bold prediction.
That is a bold prediction. You're right. It's the opposite direction, but it's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it's a Knicks prediction.
It's a
more
Knicks prediction.
accurate.
Yes. So Rory,
anyway, guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. This has been great. And anytime you want to rant about the Knicks, feel free to let us know, and we're happy to have you back on.
Awesome, will do, man. Have a good episode. I'll be tuning in.
Thanks.
All right, take it easy.
Okay. Take care.
Okay.
Man. Bye. All right, that was another good call.
Yeah. So since last show, the Knicks played, I guess, 4 games. Was it the Jazz, Lakers, Pelicans, and Heat?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I took my son to see the Knicks versus Heat yesterday. It was the first time I've ever taken him to see the Knicks actually win a game. It was freaking awesome. He was like out of his seat cheering, he was so scared at the end of the game that the Knicks were going to blow it. It was just truly exciting. I feel like I've locked him in on being a Knicks fan for at least another season. Jay, which game did you go to?
I went to the Pelicans game. I did not have to worry about the Knicks blowing a lead because they did not have one.
So we were going to go back and forth and talk about our game, like the 2 games and our 2 experiences, and see how they compare. So my game, I got to see the Knicks were down by at one point in the third quarter about 14 points, and the Knicks said, we're going to come back. How did your game go, Jay?
I got to see the Knicks down by about 14 points, and they came all the way back to within 12.
Oh, not as good.
Not really
so
good.
I got to see, what was pretty cool?
Mhm.
RJ Barrett, the guy we drafted, he played like you want to see him. He was truly efficient. He was drawing contact, getting to the line, hit almost all his free throws. He did miss 2 free throws near the end of the game that were kind of crucial, but still went 8 of 10 from the line. He was flat out awesome. How did your experience go with RJ?
I got to see him go 5 for 8 from the line and 5 for 15 from the field.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fine. Julius Randle. People have been trashing him early in the year. He's been playing a lot better.
Mhm.
And you know what? He played great down the stretch. He was playing bully ball. He was just like, he's doing his little spin moves to the basket. He was kind of unstoppable finishing at the rim. He missed a bunch of threes, but hit a crucial one near the end of the game. How was your experience, Jay?
I got to not see Randall at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
They need Randall, as you can tell.
Yes, they do.
He was away. I believe his grandmother passed away. Very sad. He was out on bereavement. If that's correct, is that a correct word for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But who was your star? Who led your Knicks in scoring?
Taj Gibson, 8 for 8 from the field, but for some reason went an extremely long stretch in the fourth without even being put in the game, which I did not understand.
Why bring him back in if he's playing well?
Yeah.
I had 2 guys go over 20, Randall and Barrett.
I
got to see what else did I have? You know what? Here's what I'm sure we had very similar experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Knox had maybe the best game of his career. He was 6 for 8 from the field, played 7. He only played 20 minutes, but was valuable the whole time out there. Hit a couple threes, even played some decent defense, got some rebounds. It was everything you'd want from Kevin Knox right now. What was your Kevin Knox experience?
2 for 8, 2 rebounds. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. You got to see your opposing team's best player, Jimmy Butler, right? Yeah.
Did you not get to see your opposing team's best player?
No, Zion's still out, so I didn't get to see that.
Okay. But he wasn't expected to play this season or ever in his career, right? Because he's Greg Oden, part 2?
Probably. Although I did get to see Ingram, and I am so jealous.
He at least is practicing. They say Zion's been doing 5-on-5, so he actually will be back soon, in theory, right?
In theory, yeah.
Who's going to play a game first, him or Kyrie?
Kyrie played yesterday.
Kyrie's back?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? Why did they say he was going to be gone for so long?
Yeah, well, he was gone for like 20 games.
Yeah, no, but recently they said he was going to be reevaluated in like a month or 2. I didn't realize he was back already.
Yeah, I mean, all the Nets fans are talking trash because they beat up on the Hawks.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to be out. Ah, damn it. I was hoping he'd be out for the whole season. Not that I wanted him to be injured, but it was kind of funny.
I mean, if it's any consolation, he'll probably be injured again within a week or 2.
Yeah. And like really, Nets fans, you beat the Hawks. Like that's not really being an NBA team.
Yeah.
I mean, we beat them, so it doesn't really count.
True.
Miami looks awesome, by the way. They have a bunch of good players. Bam Adebayo, whatever, looks great. Like they've really built a great team, and it was really fun to see the Knicks actually beat a really good team. Did you play a good team?
No, the Pelicans.
Hey, what do you think? Some Knicks fans were talking about it would be great if the Knicks could like max out Ingram after this offseason. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because he's awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason. He's really gotten like a lot better. But do you think he's worth a max contract?
I think he will be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he does a little bit of everything. He's still got room to improve, but he's so young still.
Hey, what do you think of just to jump around a little bit? But Bullock, do you think Bullock's a piece of the future in the sense of like or Bullock, whatever his name, whatever how I think the pronunciation wrong, but he's looked pretty good lately. He played, even though he didn't have the most efficient game against Miami, he did other things. He rebounded, got some assists. He seemed to play pretty well. He's 28 years old. Do you think Bullock is part of the future?
I don't know about part of the future. He's definitely part of the next couple of years because the Knicks need somebody who can shoot, and he's one of the only guys on the team who can. So, yeah.
Yeah. What would you like? So you'd be hesitant if a team said like, "We'll give you a late first round pick." Would you be hesitant to trade him?
First round pick. I mean,
chances of getting a first round pick from him are pretty slim, though.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, I would trade everyone on the roster for a first round pick, pretty much.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. I thought you were saying it would take me 2 seconds to say yes.
No. 2 second round picks. 2 second round picks for him.
No, I'd probably keep Bullock.
Hey, by the way, do you think Marcus Morris is going to get a first round pick anymore? Like, first of all, I'm convinced we should trade Marcus Morris, but I'm wondering with the He's been out. He's missed some games for, I guess, a neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think getting a first-round pick for him might be a reach.
It might be.
If you can only get 2 second-round picks for him, would you keep him or trade him?
No, I'd keep him.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm still ready to move on from him. I think he's really good. I know our caller had mentioned that like he holds on the ball a little bit much. I like him as a good player. I just think he's 30. He's really not part of the future.
No, he's not.
You can always re-sign him in the offseason if you really want him. We need to collect assets, even second-round picks, because there are a lot of good second-round picks that are now doing well in the NBA. The more picks we have, the more bites of the apple we have in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I also feel like I still don't love pairing him with Julius. I feel like you have to pick him or Julius going forward.
Yeah, and I would pick Julius. He's 4 years younger.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'd pick Randall. Yeah, also have him signed for next year, and you have the option for the year after that.
Yeah.
You might as well pick that guy. So we have a bunch of questions. Let's move to the questions. I think the questions will cover a bunch of things. We can come back to any of this stuff after.
We have to talk about the newest transaction.
There's been a transaction?
Yeah. Oh, you haven't heard. The Knicks have waived Ivan Rabb. He was on a 2-way contract. He played 0 minutes.
Wait. Okay, so they've waived him. Have they added as a 2-way contract a guy that blocks a lot of shots?
Kenny Wooten is a Knick.
Yes.
You did not know this, huh?
Sorry, I am not up to date on Kenny Wooten news. I was putting my kids to bed, not checking Knicks related news. When did this happen? I mean, obviously it happened today, right?
Yeah, it happened around 6:00 today.
Okay, so I was not tuned into the Knicks world at that point. I hope he gets playing time. I mean, the guy, he's not that for a shot blocker. He's surprisingly not that tall in the sense that he's 6'8". He's not like a 7-footer.
Right, but he can jump out of the court. It's crazy.
No, he is super goddamn athletic, and he averaged, I think, he has the most blocks in the G League, and he's averaging I think second in blocks per game. He's averaging like about 3 a game. So here's one of the things I was thinking about with the Knicks. Do you think we need another center? Forgetting the Andre Drummond stuff, we can talk about that in a second. But like, do you think we just need another actual center? I'm not talking about limiting Mitch's playing time. I'm just saying when he is not on the court, do we need another center out there?
Are you saying like
Taj Gibson is not a center.
Right.
Bobby Portis is not a center. I am wondering if they're doing themselves a disservice by not having a center. Either like a guy like Kenny Wooten, I thought could make sense. He's also not a traditional center, but the dude can he can protect the rim at least. It'd be nice to have 2 guys that can protect the rim.
Yeah, but he's only 6'8". I feel like you need a bigger body for playing guys like Embiid or even Steven Adams or what's his name, Jokic. Like you need a bigger body for that, and I don't think Mitch has the body type to muscle up with those guys right now.
How do you think Wooten fits in?
I think he fits more of like the 3 or 4 spot. Like he should probably take like Portis's minutes or something like that.
He's not really a shooter though, in my understanding.
Well, is Portis?
Yeah, Portis actually is not a bad. He's not. I mean, I think Portis is probably a lot better shooter than he is.
A shooter on the Knicks is, he's not terrible.
He can make a shot. He can make a low percentage of shots, which is pretty good for the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe he should just take like Gibson's minutes or something.
Yeah, I guess Gibson. I also was thinking they would be nice to have. The one thing that drives me crazy with the Knicks is, and I guess I looked at the stats, they weren't quite as bad as I thought they were, but like the Knicks are, the Knicks are number 1 in the league in offensive rebounding. You know that, right? Or maybe you don't know that.
Well, now I do.
Okay, they're number 1, and partly to do with they're also one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA, so there's a lot of rebounds to go around on offense. But on defense, they're around 20th in the league in defense. I've noticed that I thought the Knicks might have been last in the league in defensive rebounding. It just seems like the other opponents have so many second chances against them that it drives me insane.
Yeah.
It would be good to have like a center who just get like Taj Gibson does not get enough rebounds.
He doesn't. Well, I mean,
he
doesn't play a ton of minutes either.
I mean, even not per 36. Like I want another big body. I guess a big body to play center who could just like get the rebound, really absorb the rebounds, really help on the defensive boards. I think we get.
I mean, in both of the games we went to, he got 8 each.
That's true. Maybe I'm. The Knicks actually look better on the rebounding in both those games. I just feel like there's so many games where like just second chance after opportunity. Like the Knicks play good defense for like 22 seconds. The guys they shoot a ball, it like goes off the rim, and suddenly they have another possession because the Knicks just can't get the damn rebound.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing like a smaller 1, 2, 3 and like a 5 that actually get like a big body at center. Not Andre Drummond, but maybe a big body, maybe someone else.
Fair.
You like the Drummond idea?
I kind of do. It's tough
Ooh.
because he doesn't really shoot
Yeah.
from the 3, but he could still score when he gets inside. He can score. He's one of the best rebounders of all time.
Any hesitation in the fact that he's on a team and that team sucks?
Yeah, but look at the rest of the team.
They got Blake Griffin, who's injured a lot. I know,
Yeah,
but
they got him sitting on the bench.
You would think. So would you do the trade that has been thrown out there is Randall and Frank for him, and he's an expiring also.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess you would be paying him around what you're paying Randall.
I mean, he's turned down like a 4-year, $100 million deal. He wants paid more money. He wants probably close to a max, if not a max.
Max, huh?
I mean, not that we use our salary cap for anything in particular, just like giving money to people for no good reason. But I guess really, like, first of all, if you want Drummond, why don't you just try to sign him in the offseason? Why give up assets to get him?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thinking is because you're not going to be able to. Well, I guess if you don't take the team options on half the players, yeah, I guess you could just get them.
Yeah, you could just get him. You could free up the money that we have with the flexibility in contracts. Also, Randall is kind of our best player right now. Why are you giving up like now you have a question of like you need another 4?
I heard that's the trade that Detroit
proposed,
and the Knicks said no.
Yeah. I don't think, first of all, I don't want to give up assets for anyone on an expiring contract. We're not that good of a team.
Well, we saw what happened. With Melo, it's when you
was Carmelo traded for a bunch of players? I didn't know that, Jay. Was that a lopsided trade? Did that not work out for the Knicks?
No,
really?
I mean, like if you can re-sign him in 3 months, like what's the point? It's not like he's going to put the Knicks into. Are the Knicks really trying to make the playoffs still?
No, but he can help us cross the 30-win threshold, and then we can like hang a banner from the rafters. Yeah, obviously that's pointless.
I mean, if this is about trying to make the playoffs, then that's just gross negligence.
Everything the Knicks do is gross negligence.
Yeah. Sure.
So the question really is, okay, let's just say you don't. Let's say so you would not do this trade.
I would not.
Or you think it might endear him to the Knicks that you can resign him in the offseason because
you could sign him for the extra year. So I mean that's if that's like a big thing for him, but he doesn't seem like he really wants to be traded.
Or you've talked to him personally?
From what he said in interviews and stuff, it's
any concern Detroit's trying to build a team and they're anxious to get rid of him.
They don't have anything.
Yeah, do the Knicks have anything?
No, it's just if your argument is that we shouldn't get Drummond because Detroit stinks, that's not a good argument because Detroit has nothing.
No, I'm just saying. Well, they have Blake Griffin, who when healthy is better than anyone on the Knicks.
He's having the worst season of his career.
I mean, you're going to look at facts. Obviously having a bad year, but you feel like you could probably roll the dice with like if Blake has a better year next year, him and Drummond, that'll get us to the playoffs in theory.
In theory, but here's the thing: I think Detroit's thinking is, by the way, Blake's already missed 22 games.
You don't have anything in Detroit. Why not just say like the Knicks basically, as our caller said, we're building around Barrett right now. Why wouldn't you say, if you're Detroit, okay, he's 26 years old, let's max him out and we'll build around Drummond. We have one all-star. We can move on from other guys. We can try to get draft or whatever, but why would you get rid of a guy that's this good?
Right. The thing is, I don't know if Drummond might be better than Randall, but is he that much better where you want to pay
I mean,
him that
they're
much.
different players also. Much different players.
Yeah.
I mean, the question really is, you already have Mitchell Robinson. Is he going to be – and Robinson obviously becomes expendable or just will not play nearly as much if Drummond's there. Is it worth, like, why not just get another backup center with Robinson? You get enough there. I guess, like, Drummond doesn't – he's an old-time type player in the sense that, like, he's back to the basket. Or not even – he can shoot – he's limited range as far as shooting. He cannot shoot a three. He does a lot of old school things in the basketball that don't necessarily work as well now, or don't. In theory, the game has passed his game by.
Except that he's still putting up ridiculous numbers.
He puts up ridiculous numbers, but it doesn't necessarily result in a lot more wins.
But look at the team.
I'm just saying, it's not like he's Shaq.
Can you even name the third best player on the team?
Not Reggie Jackson, is it? Langston Galloway.
It might be.
I forget who else is on that team.
I mean, maybe Luke Kennard. Derrick Rose.
Oh, Rose is the third best player on that team.
Yeah,
Rose is some trade value. They could definitely trade Rose.
Okay, so you see what I'm saying here?
I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't you, if you're them, why don't you try to build around him? Like, why are you getting rid of a guy that's like this in his prime of his career? Like, why not just like max him and then try to build around him? Like, you're trading that for, like, Detroit saying, we feel like it makes more sense to build around Julius Randle and Frank Ntilikina than Drummond.
Well, it depends how you want to play. He's not the quickest player, so if you want to play up tempo, then yeah, you have to move on from him.
So let's say we make that trade. Where does it get us? We have Drummond as our center. We have Barrett, and what?
I mean, that's the situation. The Knicks have nothing either, so...
I'm just saying, we have one team that has nothing and another team that has nothing.
I mean, you could say that about, like, anything. Like, the Knicks trade for Giannis. You have Giannis and then Barrett, and then what? Because it's true. The Knicks have, like, almost nothing.
Yeah, no, they have a weak team. They have a lot to go. I just don't think, like, going all in on Drummond makes that much. I think Mitchell Robinson will keep getting better. He's a better shot blocker than Drummond is. He's more athletic. I would rather take my chances on developing Mitchell Robinson than going all in on getting under Drummond.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, I want to just go all in. And Drummond's not old; he's 26. But if I'm going all in on maxing a player, I'm not necessarily maxing my center either. Right. I'd rather max a point. I'd rather spend my money on point guard guys that will get more of a return in this day age. Like, do you really think well, who's good? Who's maxed the center? Let's look at the good teams in the NBA. The Clippers have not maxed. They're not using max money on a center. The Lakers are not using max money. I guess you can count Anthony Davis as a center. Then they are. But
Philly,
yes. But they're also their centers that can do a lot more. They can space the floor.
Magic's highest paid.
Embiid's a horrible outside shooter, actually. But
I think the Magic's highest paid player is Vucevic.
Yeah, it's not really doing much for them.
They're a playoff team. I'd take.
Yeah, they're a playoff team.
I'd take playoffs at this point.
I would take anything that's not an embarrassment at this point. Okay, let's go to questions.
Denver with Jokic.
That is true, but he's a different kind of player. He's a great passer.
Jazz with Gobert.
Okay, he's a great defender. Much better defender than Drummond is.
Yeah.
I would make that trade for Gobert. I would much rather. Would you rather have Gobert or Andre Drummond?
Gobert.
Okay. Ben writes, is the prize for the dude who netted the half-court shot the most Knicks thing ever? $1,000 in scratch cards.
His reaction was amazing, though. Did you see the video?
Explain to people.
So the Knicks have contests between quarters, and this contest was the guy had 30 seconds to hit a half-court shot. And on his second shot, he hit it and just went absolutely berserk. And it was one of the greatest celebrations I think I've ever seen.
He had like a dance number, like he had already it's like he rehearsed this ahead of time.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
It
literally was. Sadly enough, it was the highlight of the game.
Yeah, the Knicks then signed him right afterwards, and he's in the G League right now. Ben adds the same thing happened at the Lakers game recently, and they won $100,000. Is it lame to give a guy $1,000 in scratch cards?
A little bit. A little bit. Just give him the $1,000.
Just give him the goddamn $1,000.
He's going to be scratching stuff for about 3 hours and then end up with nothing.
Julian writes, have not had time to watch our Knicks lately, but seen all the this week. Reggie at the 3, RJ at the 2. Surely is it a typing mistake from the various websites? Oh, Reggie Bullock at the 3 and RJ at the 2.
They're kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what position any of these players are anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think RJ makes more sense to the 3, but he was handling the ball more in the Miami game, and he looked pretty good handling the ball. I don't know. Just get like 5 athletes out there. How's that?
Yeah, I'd rather 5 guys who could shoot.
Yeah, that'd be really shoot. That's actually the truth. The Knicks go for they tried to make that move of like we're not athletic enough, so we'll draft athletes who can't shoot the basket.
The Knicks one shooter lineups are not working for me.
So yesterday there were some pretty good games. Well, how do you feel about Knox? Knox actually had a much better game. How do you feel about Knox now?
Same as before.
Do you still think he's trash?
Pretty much. I think any NBA player can have a good game, and I'm not going to get excited over one.
Do you have any more faith in his ability to maybe he is young, like he has, maybe he will actually develop.
Maybe. I'm not excited.
If you had to put a percentage chance on him becoming a legit NBA starter, not all-star, just a guy that you could start on a lot of teams.
7%.
7%.
Yes.
Okay. What about let's go to the same go to the other guys. RJ Barrett, NBA starter. Not now, but like in the future, like developing like 3 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now.
50.
50.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go RJ Barrett. Knox, I'd probably say, yeah, maybe like 7%. I'd say RJ, 90% chance he's legit NBA starter 3 to 4 years from now.
Okay. That's good.
Mitchell Robinson, 4 years from now, what percentage chance is he an NBA starter?
65.
Okay. The fouls issues worry me.
Yeah, that's my thing.
In theory, he'll get better at this. He's still very young. I'd say like 65% sounds like pretty good to me. And one of the things I was just thinking about was like, it used to be in the old days, guys had 4 years of college to get better before they enter the NBA, or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get 1 year in college, and you have to be almost a finished product when you get here.
Yeah.
And your development's over for a lot of players. Do you think the NBA should use the G League more like the NBA, baseball uses the minor league system?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I wish they would. Okay. Damian Dotson, NBA starter. 4 years from now.
3.
It might be a little high. 1%. I don't see it. Frank Ntilikina.
Here's where we get all our hate mail. I'm gonna say 10.
Okay, I was gonna say he's had shown flashes of looking better lately. 4 years from now, 18%. Very, very, very exact.
Yeah.
And Dennis Smith.
I'll go 10 also.
I'm going to say right after the Knicks trade him for a second-round pick, 98% chance he becomes an all-star.
Yeah, I just have a feeling like whichever one of these guys the Knicks trade, and it'll probably be at least 2 out of the 5, they're going to have a jump as soon as the Knicks let them go.
Alonzo Trier.
1.
Yeah, 1% sounds good. Do you wonder why you hear all these things from Knicks fans? You hear like Knox, he's too young to give up on him. There's a lot of time for him to develop. Basically stop giving up on a guy in his second year in the league. Right. He hasn't been given enough chance. Mm-hmm. But then Alonzo Trier, who's a little bit older, the same fans are like, he's trash. They should cut him immediately.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
Yes, I mean, in fairness to Alonzo Trier, he's been given almost no shot this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like people use use that as an excuse for players they like, and that's it. Because you're right. Smith has been in the league the same amount of time as Frank, and everyone wants Smith gone, and they want Frank to run the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Frank's looked better lately. One thing also I've been thinking about is Miller's not been giving them a lot of minutes, these guys, but it seems like there's a whole theory of like the quality of minutes are better because they're playing, even though like Frank plays 20 minutes one night, he seems to play better in those 20 minutes than he would play in 35 minutes under Fizz, say.
I just don't think he's playing good enough to get 35 minutes.
Yeah, I guess in some ways you can. I was watching the Miami game last night when they brought back an Elfrid. Elfrid's been looked. The other thing is I've noticed that people were like, Ntilikina's had 2 or 3 decent games. They're like, oh my God, he's amazing. Elfrid Payton, who's looked good most of the way, has had 2 or 3 bad games. They're like, Payton's trash. We should get rid of him.
I know. Like, okay, listen to this: 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals. If Frank did that, they would, say we should give him a max contract right now, and that's what Payton did at the game I was at.
That's totally fair. I mean, Payton, he is what he is. He's not. I don't think he's necessarily getting a lot better, but he's serviceable guy to have on it. 5 steals is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
People, the Ntilikina crowd would go insane for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Julian writes, if Drummond is in, I would love to see Mitch at the 4 with Drummond at center, at least for 10 minutes a game, like what they did with Jokic and Plumlee in Denver. Plus, it will offer power forward doing screens for Payton and Frank, while the center would regulate the paint. Three-pointer would not be necessity anymore, as currently we have got no one in the paint. Miss has to offer the screen at all the time. If you want to penetrate, Randall is too busy asking for the ball. I guess, what do you think of having a twin tower, Mitch and Andre Drummond, next to each other?
For 10 minutes?
Or 15, whatever. What do you think about that pairing?
I mean, neither of them can shoot from the outside, so it kind of clogs up the paint, unless the other 3 guys can all shoot.
Yeah, I think it also takes away the Mitch on offense. Part of it, you really need the spacing would kill Mitch's offense.
You'd have to have like Ellington Bullock and third shooter who's currently not on the team.
Yeah, I think that'd be a tough lineup to go with. Let's say the Knicks in the offseason to sign Drummond. Any concern that signing him would limit Mitch going forward? Because Drummond's going to play 35 minutes a night.
Right. I mean, you would have to have that lineup then.
Or at that point you trade Mitch because you sign Drummond.
Maybe, yeah.
Paul writes.
I'd say you want to keep Mitch around for a little bit.
Okay. Paul writes, name a player we have that will be more valuable at the end of the year than right now. So
let's see.
I mean, you could argue RJ Barrett.
I mean, you can argue if any of these guys go on a run. Like, if Knox has a hot streak, like right now, his
if they get better, they'll be worth more.
I mean, his value right now can't get much lower. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say Robinson, maybe Randall, just because he started the season off so bad.
I was just going to say Randall. Yeah, I think he's been a lot better lately, and so just a longer stretch of him being good would make a big difference.
And Payton, too. He missed a big stretch in the beginning.
Yeah. Paul writes, how much better is Fultz than Frank? Markelle Fultz has been playing a lot. And Devin writes to his comment and just says, Fultz was the number 1 pick, basically. You can't expect Frank to be as good as the number 1 pick. Fultz, Philly gave up on Fultz. He's looking pretty decent in Orlando. What do you think?
Yeah, he's looked much better.
Yeah. I have not. So obviously, I've watched Frank a lot. Just watched the games. I've not watched Fultz too much. But I think Orlando fans are probably pretty happy with what they got now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like the Knicks keep trying to find guys who were in bad situations or just weren't working out with a team and bring them. Like last year, that seemed like all they were doing, and they just struck out on every single one.
They literally got every reclamation project wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue Elfrid Payton's a reclamation project, I guess. But yeah, they've done really bad with this. Bobby writes, why is this team so inept at player development?
That is a great question. I can't think of like one player that really got so much better on the Knicks. I really can't. Like since I started watching, pretty much.
Holy crap! Yeah, when's the last guy you've seen? Like year one, he's okay. Like he's made like leaps as far as how good he's been from year to year, or not even leaps. Like just he started off like being okay and ended up being a pretty good player later on. I mean, Langston Galloway got better, but then he left. He got better and he left. And he also is not. He's a fine role player, but that's it.
Yeah.
Who else got better as a Knick? When's the last time a guy's gotten better as a Knick?
Anthony Mason.
You want to just end the entire show? Not today, but just in general based on that question. Holy crap! That's a brutal question.
Patrick Ewing.
There you have it. Bobby writes. Any other Bobby, you want to shoot some more arrows at us here? Bobby writes, what player retained from last season has shown more improvement than Frank?
Mitch?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, his offensive game has gotten a lot better, Mitch.
I mean, he's starting to get his fouls under control.
By the way, in practice, there's video of Mitch shooting threes.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, like his coach from high school said he could shoot threes. Do you think at some point Mitch will actually attempt threes in games and become like more of an outside, like more of a stretch?
Yeah, just like Cauley-Stein.
Yes. Julian writes, back in our conversation from last show, a big guy just became available. What do you give for Drummond? I personally give away Randall, DSJ, Portis, and one of the Dallas first rounders. Thoughts?
I think that's too much.
My thought is that you don't want to give up any assets to get a guy you could sign in the offseason.
Definitely no first rounders.
Yeah, I just think I don't think Drummond is necessarily the guy you need to get. And if you really want to get him, just get him in the offseason.
Yeah.
It's idiotic to trade any assets. Like even DSJ, I'd rather get a second round pick for him and get something than trading for a guy like this. Bobby writes, why is Wooten still in Westchester? He's not. Bobby writes, why did Fizz ever look at Frank and say why didn't Fizz look at Frank and say we're going to get you right?
Maybe he did, and he's just a terrible coach.
Well, remember the Moutier thing when he got hired? At his opening press conference, he looked at Moutier and goes, we're going to get you right.
Yeah, that didn't work.
I guess it would have been kind of insulting. Frank is like, it's my second year. Why are you already ripping on me?
He looks over at Taj Gibson. We're going to get you right.
That's great. Anton, why you guys are still watching? LOL. Devin writes, would the Knicks benefit from standing pat due to the weak draft or moving their assets for draft picks?
Draft picks.
You never know how weak or strong the draft. Like going in, it looks like a weaker draft, but there's probably some better players. You never realize it until afterwards. So, yeah. Bobby writes, the Knicks didn't invest anything except Jimmy Kazoo's tutors' money in the free agent players they acquired in the last offseason. Why would they not trade them for any picks they could get?
That's what we've been saying.
Bobby, you've been hired to be the Knicks team president / GM. Go to it. Bobby writes, why hasn't this team re-signed one of their own draft picks in 22 years?
Charlie Ward. Because they're a terribly run franchise.
Maybe the Knicks think there's some kind of biblical thing. The world ends when they resign a draft pick.
I mean, it's not like they haven't drafted really good players.
They haven't drafted all that amazing players. It's not like they've given up on so many really good players.
I mean, most teams, look at Channing Frye, Trevor Ariza, David Lee. I mean,
they're decent players. I'm not arguing they haven't drafted some guys who are decent. They haven't drafted any all-stars.
No, but David Lee made the all-star team. But
okay, great.
I'm just saying, those guys had decade-long careers.
Ariza, yeah, you're right. Knicks gave up. Am I going to defend the Knicks idea of not re-signing guys, or that I don't think they've been good at drafting players, but they've been worse about re-signing them. I don't know what the hell they're doing, Jay.
I mean, any other team would have been happy to draft those guys and keep them on.
Right, but but on the other side, the other side of the argument is the Knicks had the opportunity to trade them, and they did. I don't know. What do you want me to say? I mean, at the time they all make sense because I don't know. You're clearing. Who the freak knows? I think the most indefensible trade they made was, well, I guess you look at which guys were traded for what. Like Nene was traded in the Antonio McDyess trade. Am I right about that one?
Yeah.
And so you arguing like they thought they were getting like a center to build around again. The one that I thought was like least defensible when they drafted, who's the guy they got with the 8th pick right before LeBron? They traded him away that year. He ended up not being very good. In 2000, I guess it was maybe in the 2008 draft, 2009 draft when they were clearing space for LeBron.
Oh, the first time they were clearing space for LeBron?
Yes, the first time they were clearing space for LeBron. Let me find this real quick. They drafted.
You're not talking about Hill, are you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why it's indefensible because they didn't have him very long.
Right.
You draft a guy with the number 8 pick, and you're like, we're not even going to develop this guy. We're not even going to keep him around long enough to find out if he. I mean, he was bad, but like they didn't keep him around long enough to even find that out.
Ariza got traded for Steve Francis.
I mean, if you have a chance to trade for the franchise, you just do it every time, right? What does Isaiah say? Isaiah said, if you have a chance to trade for a guy that's going to be better than anyone else on your team, how can you say no?
Right. And then Francis played how much?
But that was his last season in the league. He didn't play much longer, right?
It was the second to last, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're right. Looking back on who they drafted Gallinari, who's still in the league, obviously still very good. Part of the Melo trade. Wilson Chandler, part of the Melo trade. All these guys were part of trades that just like, even like Shumpert, I mean, they traded him away for nothing, basically. He still had a role on a championship team.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was depressing. Thank you, Jay. Declan writes, would Knox be best as a stretch 4? He's tall, has great 3 ball, but pretty sure even I or you guys could blow past him. His defense is so bad. And then thoughts on Miller's rotation versus Fizdale's. Love how he leaves guys in who are playing well. So the first part, Knox is a 4. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like he might get a little beat up. He's
as opposed to when he at the 3 when he can't get beat up because he can't catch up to the guys.
I know that's the problem. He's like
Knox. He can get bigger, like he can get more muscular, gain some size, and play the 4. He's never going to get fast enough to play the 3.
Yeah,
I agree. I completely this. I think right now I see him as the 3, but I think long term he's a 4. And what do you think Miller's rotations versus Fizdale's?
Miller's are clearly better and they're working better.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the one thing I say Fizdale in his defense, his schedule is a little bit harder than the current schedule. I mean, obviously Knicks beat a good Miami team yesterday, but generally the Knicks have had a little bit. He's had a little bit more favorable schedule. Fizdale had a pretty rough run of games he played. They had
Absolutely, but his lineups made no sense either.
No,
I mean they wouldn't have won half these games with his rotation.
Yeah, and you could argue like guys like Rando's playing clearly a lot better under Miller, but there's reasons he's playing a lot better also. It's not just like because and there was a trade proposed to us on Twitter. I wanted to quickly
I was just
ask.
about to read that. Yeah.
Okay, and you have it queued up already?
Yeah. OKC Statminder asked, "What are your thoughts on doing a deal with OKC? OKC gets Bobby Portis and Kevin Knox, and the Knicks get Schroeder, Justin Patton, Hamidou Diallo, and a 2020 first-round pick via Denver. So it's going to be a low one."
Yeah, so that's probably like the 26th pick in the first round. So Bobby Portis we don't really care about. It's really a question, would you trade... I mean, the big question really is here, would you trade Kevin Knox for a late first-round pick?
And Schroeder.
Yeah, no, just forget that part of it. I'm just saying, like, Schroeder, I agree. Like, getting Schroeder would be good. But I'm just saying, just that part of the trade alone. Would you trade Knox for a late first-round pick right now?
I'd be on the fence, but the Schroeder thing puts me over the edge. I mean, that's exactly the player the Knicks need.
What's Schroeder's contract? I mean, in the sense of, like, is he a free agent soon?
I will tell you in a second.
Because I mean, also him being on the team next year would also like factor into this.
Right. He is. Yes, he's locked in for next year.
Okay, at $15 million, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, but Portis is
Um,
$15 million. So what?
Yeah, Schroeder would be an improvement at the point guard position.
Be a gigantic improvement over the point guard position.
Frank lovers hate you. Yeah, I would do this trade. I am not enamored in any way with Kevin Knox. We just talked about the fact that we give up on draft picks too early though. I think there's a good chance that whoever we draft for that pick in the draft would have as good a shot at being good in the NBA as Knox.
Yeah.
I hope Knox turns out to be good, but as far as young guys, even despite yesterday's game, I'm pretty down on Knox.
See, the thing is, we complain that we give up on draft players too much, but we liked Ariza and Fry, and David Lee,
Yeah, if you go to the show when we were doing it back then, you can see us talk about how much we love those players.
No, it's true though. We actually
the show we didn't do the show at that, but
no, I know, but we actually did like those players.
Oh yeah. No, I mean David Lee was the one guy you were like, you understood them moving on from him a little bit. Like you just didn't think like he was ever going to be your best player, but like his numbers seemed like they were kind of like this is a guy in a bad team's numbers.
Then he made an All-Star team.
Whatever. I like David Lee. What do you want? I'm not like saying he's anything. Like I just think his numbers were a little inflated from the fact that did he make an All-Star team after he left the Knicks?
Yeah.
He made the first year in Golden State. He did.
Yeah. No, the third year in Golden State.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Then they were like, we're actually going to be good this year. You got to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, I guess I would probably, forgetting everything else, forgetting the Schroeder part, I'd probably do Kevin Knox for a late first round pick at this point.
Yeah.
I also know I'm probably valuing the draft picks too highly, but anyway, the Knicks, are they going to make any trades before the trade deadline?
I feel like they will. I feel like Mills is going to make a panic trade.
Is it going to be a trade to get better or a trade for assets?
I think it's going to get.
Tune in to the next show and find out.
I think it's going to be a player, just because that's not what I want them to do.
Okay. I mean, the trade deadline was it February 12th?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, we got some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.